Hello everyone, today I wanted to give you a quick introduction to Codex on Visual Studio Code with the new Codex model from OpenAI. I've been experimenting with it a lot over the past few weeks and I think I can share some useful insights, how to set it up, configure it to your needs and get the most out of it. To use Codex you have to be at least a Plus member of ChatGPT, so log in with your credentials and there on the left you will find that Codex symbol. After opening that you can see you've got three options: to use it in your terminal, to use it in your IDE, you can also use Cursor and Windsurf, or to connect it with an existing GitHub repository. Also a very nice option, but in this video we'll focus on using it in Visual Studio Code. To install it, just click here, then on VSCode, and allow it to open Visual Studio Code. So you see the Codex OpenAI Coding Agent plugin here. Just click on install, and then you can see, can make that a little bit smaller, a new button here. So that is Codex, and first we have to log in. So we can use an API key, that is also possible. I would recommend that you first try it with ChatGPT, since it includes quite a lot of tokens that you can use without paying separate with using the API. So click on sign in, and then this will open the browser again, and now you have to sign in again. After logging in, you will see signed in to Codex, and you can close that site now. So let's go to VS Code again. Let's close that and make this a little bit bigger. So now click on next. Click again on next. So there's a little introduction that you get. And now we are in the interface. So to work with Codex, you can use it just like the ChatGPT user interface. But before we try it, let's have a look at different options you got below the chat window. So the first one is to choose between the local environment and sending it to cloud. So this is currently disabled, and the reason is that I did not connect it to a virtual environment. So to do that, you have to create an environment, but to be honest, I don't really like that because you have to connect it with your GitHub account, and this is more for creating pull requests or reviewing code with AI. So this is not what we're gonna do, so we just gonna continue using it locally. So the second option is the different mode that we can use. We can use chat or plan mode. So this requires approval by us. So this is a human in the loop workflow for every change that the agent does. Then we got agent mode. This is a little bit less restrictive, and it can also read files and make edits to it. And the third one is that this is a full autonomous agent. So this will write code, execute code in your CLI, check the errors and try it again. So in my opinion, this is great if you are into vibe coding or want to try it for your personal project, because it automatically can detect errors, fix the errors and do a lot of stuff on its own. And in my experience, it works really great. But of course, this is not something that I would use in my professional environment. For in professional environment, I would always use the first option. The third button is for using your model. You can use the normal GPT-5 with minimal reasoning effort up to high reasoning effort. I would also recommend that you try at least medium effort or high effort with GPT-5 Codex. So that is the new OpenAI model that was trained for coding tasks. In my opinion, this is really a great model for agentic workflows. Okay, so now let's try it out. And we want to start with a very simple task. Create a very simple API endpoint with Python. So without any further instructions, you cannot be sure what it's actually doing, if it's using Flask, if it's using Fast API or whatever. So you give the model a lot of freedom, and we will just wait what it's coming up with. So you can see the thinking process, that it runs commands and so on and so on. It checks for hidden files. Nothing is currently inside that directory. And now we have to wait, I would guess, for 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so after like 30 seconds, it came up with the following. So it's waiting for approval. So we are the human in the loop and we have to approve once. We can approve for the session, or we can also reject it. The reason is because now it wants to write the code that it came up with on our local file system. And since we use the normal agent mode, we now are in control. So in this case, I will approve it once. And now after a few more seconds, it wants to execute a command. And now we're gonna approve for this session. So now it's coming up with the final plan. We're gonna approve for the session again. To be honest, I would expect if I click on approve the session that the complete task would run through, but this is actually not the case. So I can, to be honest, not tell you what's the exact difference between approve the session and approve once in practice. Okay, so this is the result. We've got our requirements.txt and here is our app.py. So our agent came up with a very simple Flask solution. Let's do that again, but now we're gonna use full agent mode. So we're gonna switch here, create a new chat, copy the command, and now we start fresh again. So this time it should not ask for approval. So we can just stay in the Explorer and check the result after it completed everything. Okay, it's done. And again, we've got the same app.py like before in the requirements.txt file. Okay, so this works, but to be honest, I don't really like Flask, and I want that it creates the application with fast API and also with UV and not a normal pip. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of just writing a command here, is by providing a special file. And the convention here for Codex is that you call that file Agents.md. This will include every instruction for the LLM related to your project. So an example would be the following. So this is my agents.markdown. So I don't want it to read any secrets. I want it to run commands like linting, formatting, and tests. I want it to use UV and also rough in combination. And I provide additional information like every command must be run with UV run and then the actual command like UV run python main.py. Then if you don't have a py project or toml, then it should create it. And it should also use a UV log file where every dependency and subdependency is inside. So I'm gonna show you the difference. So if we try the same like before, create a very simple API endpoint with Python. So this should look very different now. Okay, so that is the result. It implemented a very simple health endpoint. If we have a look at the directory, we can see it here. So that is the health endpoint. And it was also formatted by using rough, and it also used rough check with fix. So we don't have any imports that are unused. So we don't have to run it on our own. It also gave us the command to run it. So we can just copy that and run it. And this will just work because if you have a look at the directory, then we can see it also created a virtual environment and installed all of the dependencies inside there. Okay, so this worked, but now let's have a look at the agents.markdown again. There is something that I would not recommend using in production, and that is the following line. Do not open or read secrets. So this might work, but actually this is something I don't want to trust in LLM. For Codex in general, I just want a simple file where I can put directories or files that the LLM is not allowed to use. And I'm not the only one, because in my opinion, that's a big security issue. So this is also a feature request for Codex on GitHub, because currently it does not seem to be implemented. So this is still open, and hopefully this will be solved in the future. Okay, let's go back to Codex and the options that it provides us. So at the beginning, I showed you how to switch the different modes, how to use a different model, but Codex allows much more. But to access these options, you have to use a file, and you can not do that in the UI. So to use the correct file, you have to go to your user account. So there is a .codex folder, so a hidden folder, and inside there, the important file here is the config.toml. So this is how it currently looks like. So not a lot of stuff. We only got the model here and the model reasoning effort. So this exactly reflects what we chose here with this button. But there is a lot of stuff going on. You can add MCP servers and a lot more. I'm gonna show you a little overview. So this is also in the description of this video. You can find this file too. And I guess the most important parts that you can add is adding MCP servers. So in your toml file, just add MCP servers dot, so that's the name, dot example. And then you can use the command and also the arguments that the LLM can use to talk to that MCP server. You can also provide like API keys for that MCP server and a lot of other stuff that you can customize in that file. Okay, so one last topic that I want to cover is subagents. If you use Claude before, so Claude Code, then you may already have experience with that. So in Codex, you've got one agent that does everything. In Claude Code, one agent spawned other agents. So you've got an expert team of agents that all delegated tasks, and every agent was an expert in one specific area, and they all work together. So this is currently not possible with Codex, but I saw a very nice workaround in this repository, Codex -subagents -MCP. And this will allow that your agent will talk to an MCP server that you can spin up. Here is the installation process and everything that you need to install it. And in this MCP server, this will start a new Codex process. So what this MCP server does is that it implements the concept of agent as tool. So every agent is just a tool. And we've got different agents, which we can list and we can validate. And we can also, that is the primary tool, delegate from one agent to another. So this is how this works under the hood. So if you really miss Claude-like subagents, then give this MCP server a shot. Okay, so that's it from this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.